护基金会的汤静莲修女，主讲人是日本全国妇女安置网络事务局长 Tomoko Endo。那另外一位是韩国妇女热线性暴力咨询中心主任花庸丽。很高兴我们把这段时间让我们的汤修女主持，那也请我们两位贵宾来分享韩国和日本的网络经验。请汤修女，谢谢。
I think I speak in English because they will be speaking in English. It's easier than. I'm very happy this morning to introduce Tomoko Endo. Is that right? Tomoko Endo is from Japan, and she is the manager of All Japan National Women's Shelter Network. In 1989, she participated in the management committee of non-profit organization Japan Feminist Counseling Society. In 1999, she participated in the All Japan Women's Shelter Network and began serving as the general manager of the network. And since 2003, as a general manager, she tackled the first and second revision of the Anti-Domestic Violence Act. She coordinated the first cabinet office-sponsored Purple Dial 24-hour helpline for victims against violence. Is it victims against violence? We are very happy because Endo came last night, and she is a very, very capable person. She has done a lot of coordinating work in Japan, but she's a little bit afraid that her English may not be very good, but we all assure her that she will do wonderfully here. So we welcome Endo. Afterwards, wow. As she says, so I'm not good at speaking English, so I will I will read and speak draft. But I love triple Asian world. I am studying Chinese a little bit. So 大家好，认识你们很高兴。请多多关照。等，見えない。I should move. It's okay. I was asked to talk about how we established our national network of shelters, and I accept their invitation to speak, but I'm not sure whether Japan's experiences can meet your expectations. The women's movement in Japan is not that powerful. Compared to Taiwanese, compared to a Korean movement, we are very weak. We haven't experienced the so-called feminism wave. There is no one knows gender issues in Japan, and understanding and social support for sexual minorities and ethnic minorities are also quite weak. So please don't please don't expect me. Please write too about us. Please turn to slide. All Japan Women's Shelter Network has generated through grassroots women's shelter movement in the 90s. As its organization meeting in 1998, only 4 groups made up and appeared together. About 20 groups joined. In 2005, the network gained NPO status. Now, we are the largest and the only network of private sector groups, for women's support, against women. DV support shelters. 67 groups joined us from all over Japan. The number of our membership is about 2,000, including temporary volunteers. I am volunteer too. Turn to the next thing. To become a member of the network, a group must engage in directly supporting victims. Private DV shelters are supporting organizations around Japan, provide telephone counseling services and face-to-face counseling, shelter management, advocacy working, annual symposium, policy recommendation, lobbying. My role is a lobbying. Annual symposium has about 2,000 people, lecturers, scholars, diet members, city officers, and survivors, and supporters. The 24 hours helpline is still working. I will explain the end of this speech. Yes, slide 4. To tell the truth, I thought you should shortcut your speech from 60 minutes to over 20 minutes. Slide 4, future of Japan. Please, this slide, you will see that this afternoon. Chisato Kitanaka from Japan, she will explain to you. So, there's more. See, 10% diet members, 9% labor union leaders, 70% women retire by first childbirth, still now. The female wages are 70% of males. The violence against women is not a crime. The one DV victim to 3 women. It's according to a ministry questionnaire as a result. Husband kills the wife every 3 days. And no nationwide women network. Slide 5. Difficulty of legal systems. It is very difficult for us Japanese women to devise systems to establish the new laws. And because in Japan, laws haven't been changed unless very serious major incidents of crime. Incident having committed such a murder. Okay, for a stalker murdered his victim, or where a rapist killed his victim, the Anti-Stalking Act and recent revision of the Panel Code were apparently brought about the response to certain cases. This fact shows how the Japanese government doesn't care about promoting the measures against violence against women. The major reason why Japan fails to take sufficient measures in that the support system for victims of violence is classified as just a welfare service, not as a human rights issue. Violence against women is regarded to be same as or less serious than normal accidents or general crimes. It's true. For example, if you stole monies, you should go to jail under 10 years. If you hit the wives, then it's not a crime. Hit the wives is not a crime in Japan. If you arrested and get out and hit again, you should go to jail under 1 year. The biggest problem with welfare service system is that maybe same situation in all over the world. The local government has the power of decision, For example, when private shelters protect the victim, if the local government doesn't accept the claim, the cost would not be paid by the local government. The prefectural government decides whether she is a victim or a DV or not. When the victim goes to a public shelter, she can stay for free, but she has to leave within 2 weeks in general. In many cases, private shelters protect victims on their own. However, public money is not spent on private shelters. Private shelters have to run only on donations and sponsorship from companies. The Japanese companies hate women movement, so I always get money from foreign countries. Let us take a historical look. More 10 minutes. What the women's groups and the networks have been working on. Let us take a historical look at what the women groups and networks have been working on and the major social events and new legislation in the past 17 years. This 17 years is very important for us. Please. Before 1995. 1995 is all should know Beijing Conference. Before Beijing Conference. In 1990, the first self-help group for women survivors of sexual abuse was formed in Tokyo. Very late compared to your countries, 1990s. And time tested for 2 decades now, similar groups of all kinds have sprung up around the country, which proves that self-help groups are instrumental in empowering survivors, challenging stereotypes, and triggering social changes. In 1992, a plaintiff won the Fukuoka sexual harassment case. It is the first sexual harassment lawsuit. It was won. And the court ordered the company to pay 1.65 million. It was very high at the time. In 1993, the professor of Kyoto University was arrested, kind of arrested. I denounced, and 3 Japanese members, they are fluent in English. Denounced of sexual harassment. It is a very famous sexual harassment case. Kyoto University is one of the top-ranked universities in Japan. And Professor Yano was the chief of the Center of Southeast Asian Studies. It is said that Professor Yano was a very famous, distinguished researcher of political science, and he was also a mentor of Miss Aung San Suu Kyi when she was in Kyoto University. He raped several of his secretaries and asked them to be lovers. It is said the 7 secretaries quit their job due to sexual harassment by Professor Yano. The center was sort of like his kingdom. The secretaries read call of service to him, treasuring during his rest, to help in his great job because he is the treasure of Japan, a treasure of the world. One secretary filed a lawsuit against him, claiming rape. Then a colleague of Kyoto University posted an article to a local newspaper. He said that the Yano's friend said, ridiculous if autonomous control of Kyoto University is invaded by such a futile claim of sexual harassment. It would be a crisis akin to suppression of free speech in wartime. But Kyoto University dismissed him. Then he and his wife filed a full lawsuit and failed all. At last, he died in European countries. And the year 1993, the first survey in Japan on the prevalence of domestic violence by the spousal partner violence study group was conducted. It was the first research, 1993, about the damage of domestic violence. The Beijing Conference. The fact that violence against women was placed on the platform in the Beijing Conference had a tremendous impact on the women's movement in Japan. And this common theme connected a wide range of women's movement across a broad range of sectors. The women's movement began to offer close support to survivors who began to speak out against rape, sexual harassment, and human trafficking, and pushed for the legislation and the revision of the Act on the Prevention of DVLs and anti-stalking laws. In 1995, previously during the Beijing Conference, 3 U.S. Marines stationed at the U.S. military base in Okinawa were arrested for abducting and raping a schoolgirl. The news shocked the women attending the Beijing Conference. The incident led to the setting up of Rape Emergency Counseling Center, Okinawa. It's still active. Rape. And Okinawa Women Act Against Military Violence, both of which are active today in their work against sexual violence and the military presence. And the so-called private shelters, our organization's members opened up one after another immediately after the Beijing Conference. They grew in numbers from a group of 4 organizations to over 100 as of 2009. Today, private shelters are 113, I think. In 1998, a nationwide network of private women's shelters was set up by All Japan Women's Shelter Network to support victims of domestic violence. Under the banner, Let the Shelter Movement Rise, the Shelter Net held its nationwide symposium in Sapporo. It was the first from Hokkaido, Hokkaido maybe. Hokkaido, Sapporo, and has held annual symposium with a massive participation. And slide 6, 1995 to 2000. Next. It was the twilight period. Because of Beijing Conference, many legislation enacted, a lot of new systems were challenged this period. 1997, a part of the effort to reinforce domestic laws based on the observation of the UN Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, the Equal Employment Opportunity Law was revised to oblige employees to take preventive measures regarding sexual harassment. In Japan, this device is the first to refer to sexual harassment, only 1997, because of the Beijing Conference. And 1999, the basic law for the gender equal society was enacted. Following this, many prefectural governments introduced codes and regulations to enforce policies to support women victimized by violence on local government levels. This law was very weak at the beginning, still weak, but improved year over year. In 1992, 2 acts for child victims were improved, one for pornography, one for child abuse. In 1999 was unforgettable year for us. Oh, that's no time. And this is a very famous case. A young woman was killed by the first reported incident of stalking in Japan. It's Okegawa stalking murder case. And the press media reported how the police repeatedly failed. They fail still now. And this year, 2 women were killed by the stalker in Nagasaki. Wow. I forgot it. Maybe 5 minutes? 3 million, wow. Slide 7, 2001 to 2007. So, yeah, that. The highlight of this period. From this period, I became a manager of shelter, or Japan shelter. The highlight of this period is definitely the act on the prevention of spousal violence and the protection of victims, anti-DBO. It was enacted. Many women congressmen, many supporters, scholars, we are lined together to go to the Parliament House, and survivors speak out. I held a survivors speak out meeting in Congress room over 12 times to enact this law. The mainstay of the DB Prevention Act was that it made it a duty of metropolitan and prefectural government to issue protection orders and takes the shelters. They should make shelters. Now we have public shelters in 47 prefectures at one each. Last is so Tohoku area. You should know. Well, you should know the awful earthquake and tsunami in Tohoku area. We shelter net do support in Tohoku areas from the next day of the earthquake day, and still now on. So for help women in disaster area, we are doing 24 hours helpline. And so the established branch at Fukushima Prefecture. The last more. So. Then same situation. Our issue for tackle is find source of revenue to get and raise new members. In Japan, NPOs has no budget, so members are elderly. We are part of young staff. I'm 54. The Japanese movement is still small, very small. I expect that I can learn a lot from you all. Well, thank you very much.